This all started with a tip from someone who told me about a phone call he received from TS Prosperity, which is part of TS Bank in Trainer. And that conversation led to hours of research, combing through federal and local court documents that tell the story of how Iowans lost money when TS Prosperity fell victim to an international scheme that promised big returns, but ultimately led to big losses.
Federal prosecutors described Mediatrix as a Ponzi-like scheme and listed among its victims Trainer-based TS Prosperity, the investment arm of TS Bank. I reached out to TS Bank, and it confirmed by email that it was among those scammed by Mediatrix. Michael Stewart and Bryant Sewell gave false information about how the company worked, how much it made, and even how long it had operated, telling investors it never had a month of losses going back to 2013. But the company didn't exist until 2014. Prosecutors say the two were able to dupe investors until the scheme came crashing down.
I got a phone call and they said, we lost your money. And I said, oh, well, the market goes up and down and, things happen, I guess, and they said, no, we lost your money.
John Shirley didn't invest with Mediatrix. He invested with TS Prosperity, the investment arm of Trainer-based TS Bank.
I've known them for 3 generations. They're local. I know them.
The retired widower and local musician wanted his money invested conservatively.
I thought the money was going to go like in IBM or Tesla or the stock market, but apparently they put the money in a very risky foreign exchange scam in the Bahamas.
Court records indicate that Mediatrix told investors it earned a 1,600% return for its investors since the company started and never had an unprofitable month. Results that would raise red flags among investment advisors who say to be wary of anyone promising consistent results.
It was set up as a scam and was a scam, and it scammed several dozen people, hundreds of people from across the country. And Trainer Bank was one of them.
And he wants the bank to reimburse him for his $6,000 loss.
You lost it, you get it back, pay me back.
Now, Shirley is taking the bank to small claims court, arguing TS Prosperity didn't follow his instructions to avoid high-risk investments. I asked TS Bank and TS Prosperity for an on-camera interview, and a spokesperson emailed me a statement noting that legal proceedings are still pending and referring me to federal officials. The bank asked the Pottawatomie County Small Claims Court judge to stay Shirley's claim, essentially putting it on hold. TS Bank's attorney in court. Plaintiff was aware his investments are not FDIC insured, may lose value, are not guaranteed, not a deposit, and not insured. The attorney pointed out that the bank is also considered a victim in the case.
Well, they're not victims. They didn't do their due diligence, and they just plain invested our money in a very risky, unsafe, not conservative, as we directed them to do.
The judge issued a stay, meaning Shirley won't have his day in court until litigation against Mediatrix is concluded. Sewell and Stewart were convicted in 2024. Sewell was sentenced to 23 years in prison. Stewart hasn't been sentenced yet, and a third partner was sentenced to a year in prison. As for other litigation against Mediatrix, there's no clear timeline for that to conclude, which means Shirley will have to wait. In Henderson, your Southwest Iowa neighborhood reporter, Katrina Markle.
All right, watching that, Katrina joins us here now. I'm curious how much money was wrapped up in this scam.
Well, Mary, we know that just one of those defendants was ordered to pay $93 million in restitution. And of that $93 million, TS Prosperity was third on the list of victims at $6.6 million. Now, the SEC says at least $120 million of investor money was put at risk. So we don't really know how much money locally was lost.
Wow. Okay, Katrina, thank you.